Hey, this is Dave from Bay Stencil. Today I'm going to show you how to download SVGs from Bay Stencil and cut them on your Cricut Explore Air 2 or 3 or your Cricut Maker. As long as you're in design space from Cricut, everything is going to work. So you might download SVGs from Bay Stencil one of two ways. One is you might get an email if you upload your own image and you order a custom stencil and pay for the custom stencil, you'll download it and get a little link that says download now. Or if you're just on the site and you're looking, for example, for cool stencils and you say, hey, I want a stencil of a telephone, and you see this cool bright red telephone, then you click on it and say, wow, I can download the cut files for free. It's the same thing. The same thing happens whether you click this button or you click the button in the email that you receive to download your Bay Stencil. It's the same thing. You're going to see the same thing in the file. So I'm going to show you how to cut that file on your Cricut. So here I'm going to click on the download button, just like I was clicking on the download button in my email. And when I do that, I get a zip file downloaded to my computer. And on my computer, I made it so that it automatically opens up the file from the downloads folder and automatically unzips it for me. You might have a little difference in the way this works, especially if you're on Windows. But either way, you can unzip any file that you download and find inside the contents of that file. When I open this one up, this one called Bay Stencil Pliable Trolley Car 2, I see that there's a DXF folder, EPS, PDF, SVG, and those all have useful stuff in them. They all have the bridged folders in them, files in them. But the SVG layers file has a little bit more. It has bridged SVG files and bridges.svg files. And it also has the original 2-1 SVG, which is just the unbridged representation of that layer. So our red telephone here has 3 layers. It's got kind of like an off-white layer, a bright red layer, and a dark red layer. And here we see they're represented just in black. This is what the actual stencil would filter out if you laid it down on a piece of cardstock and sprayed it. And this is what the result would look like for each of those layers. And all together, it looks like this. But when you're looking at those files in your download, you'll see 2-1 bridged, 2-2 bridged, and 2-3 bridged SVG. Those are the ones you want to stick into design space. I might actually only put 2-2 and 2-3 in there because I'm going to paint this on a white wall, and so I don't actually need that first layer. I'm only going to cut the layers I need. So I'm going to cut the red, the bright red, and the dark red layer. Let me show you how to do that. First, you want to be in design space, and in design space, oops, looks like I left this open from before. Cancel. Okay, I'm gonna delete these because I started before. Okay, there we go. So I'm in design space, and I want to upload those last 2 SVG files, the bright red one and the dark red one. And if I do this, I'm going to upload the image and browse down to that downloads directory where I found them. I'm going to find 2-2 bridged SVG. Good. And I'm going to say upload that. And then I'm going to also grab the dark red one. There we go, and I'm going to upload that. There we go. So once I've uploaded them, I'm going to add them to the canvas, both of them at the same time. Say add to canvas. And once I see them on the canvas, they'll probably be like 2 of them close together. I want to know how big this whole thing is going to be when I cut it all together. So I'm going to put one. You see how they're grouped together? I've got the dark red over the bright red. I'm just going to put one on top of the other, and I'm going to line them up with the registration marks. These little triangles here are registration marks. When they cut, they would just cut like they would just cut part of the way around, and you punch them out to lay one layer on top of the other to make sure your 2 layers are straight together. So the most important thing here is that when you resize these, you have all the layers that are going to make up your stencil in design space at one time, that they're all grouped together. Whenever you resize, you're resizing them all together, because when you put the red layer over the dark red layer, you want to make sure that they line up and that one of them isn't just a little bit bigger than the other. I'll show you what that would look like if you did that by accident. Like if you made this one a little bit bigger and you put it over the other one, you see how it just doesn't go right unless you're Andy Warhol maybe, then that looks right to you. But I'm not Andy Warhol, so I'm going to make this, I'm going to make sure that whenever I resize, I am resizing them together. See, there we go. Group, not group, but just select both of them together. And I'm going to make this as wide as my mat is. And my mat, I'm allowed to cut, Cricut lets me cut up to 11.5 inches. So I'm going to go to 11.493 inches. I guess I could type 11.5 in there somewhere. Oh yeah, I can actually. Let's just do it right here. 11.5. And because this little lock is here, I know that it's going to happen proportionally, and now that's exactly 11.5. So I've got the 2 here, and if I now just click Make It, it's actually going to do pretty much the right thing. It actually says, ooh, it's going to give me 3 things. I don't really want 3 things. That's not what I want. So I'm going to cancel. And I'm going to go back. I think what I really needed to do is I think I need to take this one and say attach to make sure that's going to all be on one mat. And I'm going to do the same thing the other, attach to make sure that's all on one mat. And now when I do Make It, I think I'm going to get 2 mats. There we go. And one of them is this light red. And I'm going to move it down a little bit because I like to leave a little buffer because my material is actually going to be this 18 inches. So I'm going to center it there. It's going to go from 1.5 inches to 18 inches. Good. And then the dark red layer, I'm going to do the same thing. Just scoot it down so it's got about 1.5 inches on the top. That way, since my material is 18, it'll be 1.5 by 1.5 on each side. And I'm using all the width I can here to get all the way to the side. That would be great. I'm going to show you one other thing. I could just say OK and continue, make this right now. But I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to show you how to do one other thing, and that is these files are made so they can be used by laser cutters as well as by craft cutters. And so they have these registration cuts in them, and they also have these number and letter files that tell you what is what. We don't need those in here, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out because sometimes the cutter gets a little stuck on making these tiny cuts and it makes a little bit of a mess here. So I'm going to do ungroup here. Let's see, where is ungroup edit? Maybe I just clicked right click and I see ungroup. I think I need to detach first. Then I'm going to ungroup. Then I'm going to just take this little thing out. And maybe, because this is telephone, it's so easy to do. Maybe I don't even want these registration marks, and I don't want the layer 2 of 3 in there either. So I'm just going to take all that out. And then I'm going to regroup this, group it again. And I'm going to, oops. And it doesn't give me the option to attach at this moment. I'm going to see what that's all about. But notice that nothing changed about the sizes. The sizes are still going to be the same. I'm going to do the same thing here, detach. And now I'm going to ungroup and remove this, remove these, because I don't need them. It's really easy to see how this telephone is going to go together. I'm just going to layer one layer on top of the other, and these little buttons are going to tell me where to put the thing. So then I'll do that, and I'll group that together again. So now I've got 2 things here and 2 telephones side by side. Let's see what happens when I do make it. I'm wondering if I'm going to need to attach again. We just all we have to do is find out to do make. So it doesn't look like I'm going to need to do an attach. It also looks like I have more room here because when I removed those little registration marks, I actually bought myself a little bit bigger stencil. So I'm going to do one more thing, and that is I'm going to put this one on top of the other. Oops, there we go again, just like I did before, because the whole thing can't be any bigger than the biggest stencil, right? And then I'm going to go up into here just like I did before. I'm going to type 11.5, and it's going to resize proportionally. And when I do this now, when I say make it, I am going to see that I've got the biggest dark red layer I can have and the biggest light red layer I can have. And when these go on the wall, on a bright white wall, they're going to look fantastic. Let's see, my 18 is now I'm using a little bit more of my up to down width too, which is good because I'm making it as big as I can. And then for this one, I'm going to just nudge it down a little bit so that it's centered on my 18-inch material width. That's it. I think you're ready to press cut. And if this is helpful to you, check out the other videos in the channel and let us know how we can help you cut better. This is Dave signing off from Bay Stencil.